Good evening, Santosh. Okay, see here. So, what was our last class? In the previous class, we clearly discussed about features of C++. Okay, so this topic we finished in the previous class. So, just once again, uh, I will give overview on features of C++. So, what is the first feature here? The C++ is the general purpose programming language. Means using C++ language, we can develop many kinds of applications like business, mathematical, graphical, and scientific applications. Okay, and yes, okay. See, so I'm calling this C++ as the middle level programming language. The C++ is the middle level programming language. Means it has high level language features as well as low level language features. Means using this C++ language, we can develop system software as well as application software. And I'm calling this C++ as the object oriented programming language. The C++ is the object oriented programming language. Means it supports to object oriented concepts like encapsulation, abstraction, inheritance, and polymorphism. If any language that supports to encapsulation, abstraction, inheritance, and polymorphism, that is object oriented programming language. I'm calling C++ as the portable programming language because C++ applications we can run on C++ programs, we can run on any system, even if operating system is same or different. If operating system is same, place exe file. If operating system is different, place the source code file. Again, we have to compile. It is providing rich library to us. So C++ library is the collection of header files. So in the header file, several classes are there, functions are there. Okay. And next, extendability. We can add our own header files to the C++ library. We can add our own header files to C++ library, and we can extend the C++ software. That is extendability. STL means there is standard template library to work with a group of elements. The C++ is providing this standard template library to us. And this C++ provides basic security for the data, okay, by using the classes. In the classes, by defining the members as private, we can provide basic security for the data. And next one is exception handling. Exception handling means the mechanism of handling runtime errors. So runtime errors are very, very dangerous. When runtime error occurs, our application will be terminated in the middle of execution. So that is inconvenient to the user. So that's why we must handle the runtime errors. The mechanism of handling runtime errors is exception handling. Dynamic memory allocation means allocating memory at runtime. So to allocate the memory at runtime, the C++ is introduced. The C++ introduced two operators. One is new and another one is delete. New is used to allocate the memory, and delete is used to deallocate the memory. Okay. Next, last advantage is templates. Okay. So templates allows us to work with different data type. Allows us to work with different data types. For many data types we are defining one function only, or for many data types we are defining one class only. Okay, now this one template function can be used for int, it can be used for float, it can be used for char. You have no need to define three functions like this. Automatically code length will be decreased. There is a advantage with the templates. So till here we discussed in the previous class. Okay, now my question is, are there any drawbacks for the C++? Are there any drawbacks are there for the C++? Yes, drawbacks are there. So C++ has some drawbacks. What are those? What are the drawbacks? What are the disadvantages? So what are the drawbacks of C++? What are the limitations of C++? See here. First one is, the first drawback is the C++ is the platform dependent programming language. I'm calling this as the platform dependent programming language. The C++ is the platform dependent programming language. That is a major drawback. And another drawback is the C++ is the mission dependent programming language. It is a mission dependent programming language. Okay. And another drawback is here memory allocation and deallocation. Memory allocation and deallocation is the responsibility of programmer. A responsibility of programmer. So memory allocation and memory deallocation is responsibility of the programmer. Means This C++ is not providing garbage collector. It is not providing garbage collector. So no garbage collector is there. Okay, I will explain each and every point. Okay, and next, another drawback is pointers. So due to the pointers, the C++ supports the pointers. Okay, so there is one drawback. And another one is it supports the global variables. It supports to the global variables. This is another drawback. Global variables, and it supports to the friend functions, friend functions, and friend classes. So these are the drawbacks with the C++. Okay, and we can develop standalone applications only. Using this, we can develop standalone applications only. We can develop standalone applications. Okay, see what are the drawbacks of C++. Observe here, what is the first drawback? Platform dependent. So here you have to understand what is platform. Okay, so platform means combination of operating system and microprocessor. Combination of operating system and microprocessor is called platform. Combination of operating system and microprocessor is called platform. Okay, so to attend this class, we are using laptop or desktop. Okay, in our computer, operating system is there as well as microprocessor is there. So what are the examples for operating systems? So operating system examples are like Windows. In the Windows, several versions are there. Latest one is Windows 10. Okay, Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 10. Okay, like that. Linux is the operating system. Unix is the operating system. Okay, Mac is the operating system. So like this, several operating systems are there. Okay, so every operating system has its own language. Remember this point. Every operating system has its own language. The instructions which can be understood by Windows 10 may not be understood by Linux or Unix or Mac. The instructions which can be understood by Linux may not be understood by Windows 10 or Unix or Mac. The instructions which can be understood by Mac may not be understood by these operating systems. So every operating system has its own language. Okay, for example, say if one person knows Telugu language, another person knows Tamil language. So one person's language cannot understood by the another person. Like that, one operating system's language cannot be understood by another operating system. So like that, microprocessors also. There are several microprocessors out there. Okay, generally we are using Intel microprocessor. So like Intel microprocessor, AMD microprocessor is there. Okay, Celeron microprocessor is there. Okay, so these are the microprocessors. Okay, so every operating system has its own language. Like that, every microprocessor has its own language. The instructions which can be understood by Intel may not be understood by the AMD or Celeron. The instructions which can be understood by the Celeron microprocessor may not be understood by the AMD or Intel. So like that, every operating system has its own language and every processor has its own language. Combination of operating system and microprocessor I'm calling as platform. Okay, now what is platform dependency? I'm calling C++ is the platform dependent programming language. So why it is a platform dependent programming language? To understand this, I have to explain about execution process of the C++ program. Now listen. Okay, so in the previous class I already explained. In the portable feature I already explained. See here, this is a file. In this file I'm writing C++ program. So this is C++ program. So now what is this one? This is the source code. So what is this one? This one is the source code. This one is source code. So we are writing the program in the text editor. Okay, that code I'm calling as source code. Source code. So I am storing this source code with the name hi.cpp. So hi.cpp is this file name. So hi.cpp is the file. In that file we have written one program. So now this program is in which language? High level language. This program is in high level language. So computer cannot understand this one. Okay, so to convert this to the low level language, we are compiling this program by using one command. Okay, after compilation, what it will create? That will create the exe file. This will create exe file. So here exe file will be created. This is the execution process of a C++ program. So here this file name is hi dot extension is what? Exe. So exe is the extension. Okay, so after compilation, this source code will be converted to the machine code. Now this exe file has machine code. Exe file has machine code. This machine code can be also called as native code. Machine code can be also called as native code. Native code. See, so here, for example, I am writing this program in one computer. I'm writing this program in one computer. This computer has Windows 10 operating system, and this operating system has Intel microprocessor. So this sorry, this computer has, this system has Windows 10 operating system and Intel microprocessor. So this is a computer. In this we are writing the C++ program. I'm calling that code as source code. After compilation, it is creating exe file here. That exe file contains what? Machine code or native code, which can be understood by the operating system. So operating system can understand this code that displays output to us. That is the execution process of a C++ program. So here, after compilation, what it is creating? Exe file. That exe file is containing what? Machine code. Now here, this file has which machine code? Windows 10 machine code. Windows 10 and Intel's machine code will be generated here, because this system has Windows 10 and Intel. Now this is another system. This is another system. Okay, now this system has Linux operating system. This system has Linux operating system. Okay, and it has a Celeron microprocessor. It has Celeron microprocessor and Linux operating system. Okay, now can we run this exe file? Can we run this exe file in the Linux, or in the Linux system? Can we run this exe file? No, we cannot. We cannot run this one. Why? Because this exe file has machine code that is generated according to the Windows 10. So this is Windows 10's machine code. So this is Windows 10's machine code. This is Windows 10's machine code. So Windows 10's machine code cannot be understood by the Linux. So that's why it cannot understand this language, this code. So we cannot run. So with this, we can understand that this C++ program is completely depending on operating system and microprocessor. So the code, the machine code generated according to one operating system and microprocessor may not be run on another operating system and microprocessor. So that's why we are calling the C++ as the platform dependent programming language. It is completely depending on operating system and microprocessor. According to the operating system and microprocessor only, this machine code will be generated. So this C++ program is depending on operating system and microprocessor. So C++ is depending on this platform. So that's why we are calling C++ as the platform dependent programming language. Whereas Java is the platform independent programming language. Python is the platform independent programming language. So those are the platform independent programming languages. In platform independent programming languages, after compilation, that will generate intermediate code. Like, for example, this is one Java program. Assume that this is one Java program. So after compilation, it will generate one intermediate code that can be called as bytecode. Bytecode file will be created in the Java. Okay, so when we run this bytecode, that will be converted to the exe file. So if you want to run Java application on another system, just simply we take this bytecode file and we place in another one. But we are not placing the source code. So intermediate code will be generated in the Java or Python. Whereas in the CPP, no intermediate code is there. After compilation, directly it is creating what? Exe file. So exe file contains the native code, which can be understood by the operating system. So one operating system's native code cannot be understood by another operating system. Okay, so that's why we are calling this C++ is the platform dependent. This is a platform dependent programming language. This is a major drawback. This is a major drawback of C++. Okay, next one is what? Mission dependent. I'm calling this C++ as the mission dependent programming language. So just now we discussed about platform dependent. So platform dependent means the exe file generated in the cpp exe file generated in one system cannot run on another system which has different operating another cannot run on another system which has different operating system so if same operating system is there, okay, no problem. If different operating system is there, we cannot run that exe file. Again we have to place the source code file. Again we have to compile. But generally we will not give source code to the client, we will not give. So if we give source code, he will not approach to the company again. So that's why we will not give source code to the client. Okay, so this is the major drawback of the C++. That is platform dependent. It is completely depending on operating system and microprocessor. So next feature is next drawback is what? Next drawback is I'm calling this C++ as the mission dependent. It is mission dependent programming language. Means these C++ programs we cannot run on many machines. Okay, just simply on computers we can run. Okay, in the initial days we can run in the starting versions of C++. We can run on only computer. But nowadays, by using the Microsoft Visual C++, we can develop mobile applications also. So we can run C++ applications on mobile. We can run C++ applications on computer. But we cannot run these C++ applications on many devices. Like personal digital assistants are there. Personal digital assistants means palm top computer. This is called palm top computer. Personal digital assistant means palm top computer. Okay, so that is one device. See, every month to generate the electricity bill, electricity department person comes to our home with one device. Electricity department person comes with a device to generate the bill. That machine is called what? Personal digital assistant, PDA. Okay, in the city buses or in the super luxury buses, conductor is using one device to generate the ticket. That device is what? PDA. Okay, so we cannot run in the PDS. Okay, we cannot run in the routers. In the routers I want to run C++ application, we cannot run in the routers. Okay, in the Blu-ray DVD players I want to run. Okay, in the remote controls like AC remote control, okay, like TV remote control, in the remote control I want to run the application, we cannot. Okay, that's why we are calling this as the mission dependent. We can run on computer only, but nowadays we can develop some mobile applications also by using Microsoft Visual C++. Okay, so we can run on computer only, we cannot run on many other devices. Whereas Java, this Java supports to billions of devices. So that's why Java became fame. This Java is advanced version of C++. So this C++ has drawbacks. To avoid those drawbacks, they introduced the advanced version of C++, that is what? Java. Okay, so this Java is the platform independent, Java is the machine independent, whereas C++ is the platform dependent and it is machine dependent. Okay, it is depending on operating system and it can run on computer only. We cannot run on many other devices. C++ applications we cannot run on many other devices. Okay, next, another drawback. Memory allocation and memory deallocation is the responsibility of programmer. No garbage collector is there. See, in the Java or in the Python, garbage collector is there. That garbage collector removes the unwanted objects. For example, here I'm creating one object here. Okay, so int pointer x equals to new int. So here this memory will be allocated at runtime. So for the integer, to hold integer value, memory will be allocated at runtime. So now what will happen with this statement? Some memory will be allocated at runtime. To hold integer value, memory will be allocated. So to allocate the memory, we are using what? New. So here some memory will be allocated. Okay, so in this memory that can store a value. If we give the value, that can store a value. So we just now this memory is created. Okay, this memory will not be destructed automatically. Okay, so destructing this memory is the responsibility of the programmer. If we want to delete that, if we want to destroy the memory, we must write delete x. Then only this memory will be destroyed. Now this memory will be destroyed. So we are responsible to allocate the memory and we are responsible to delete the memory. So automatical memory management is not there. Whereas in case of Java, automatic memory management is there. Unwanted objects will be removed by the garbage collector. This garbage collector feature is not there in the C++. So this is another drawback. And another biggest drawbacks of C++ are it supports to pointers, it supports to global variables, and it supports to friend functions and friend clauses. All these are all these concepts are security problem oriented concepts. See, what are those concepts? First one is what? Pointers. In the pointers, pointer arithmetic concept is there. In the pointer arithmetic concept, this pointer arithmetic concept is very dangerous. Pointer arithmetic is very dangerous. So what is pointer arithmetic? Pointer arithmetic means using operators on pointers. Okay, using operators on pointers. Using operators on pointers is called pointer arithmetic. Okay, this is one pointer variable. For the pointer variable, I'm using the operator plus plus, or for the pointer variable, I'm using the operator minus minus, or for the pointer variable, I'm increasing two values, or for the pointer variable, I'm decreasing two values, like this. So either we increase the value or decrease the value. Only two operators we can use on pointers. Okay, one is incrementing, another one is decrementing. To increase one value, plus plus. To decrease one value, okay, minus minus. To increase two values, plus 2. To decrease two values, minus 2. So we can use only incrementation, either incrementation or decrementation. So we can use four operators only: plus plus, minus minus, plus minus. Okay, so this using operators on pointers is called what? Pointer arithmetic. This pointer arithmetic concept is very dangerous. How it is very dangerous? See here. For example, observe carefully here. For example, here one bank is maintaining like this. Just a minute. So one bank is maintaining customer details here. Okay, so there is one structure. That structure name is customer. Okay, so one customer detail is there. That customer account number is 1234. Customer account number is 1234. His name is Srinu. His account has 1 lakh amount. So like this, data is there. Okay, this is one bank customer's details. So this is customer one details. Okay, so like that, customer two details are there. Customer two details. Okay, so bank is maintaining like this: 1235. Okay, some person name Ramu. Okay, in his account 50,000 balance is there. 50,000 balance. For example, I know address of this one. These structure elements are stored in sequential memory locations. For example, in the P, I am holding. For example, assume this is one array. So this is C1, C of 0. Okay, and this is C of 1. C of 0 means customer 1. C of 1 means customer 2. Okay, so for example, here I am holding address of this account number. So address of C of 0 dot account number. Account number is a property name. So I am holding address of this account number. If I write P++, that accesses next memory location. If I write P++, that accesses next memory location. So if I know address of this account number, I can know his name, I can know his account balance. Okay, if any sensitive data is there like PIN number, etc., we can know that one. Okay, so with this pointer arithmetic, so here what I'm using, pointer arithmetic. If I know address of one element, I can access remaining elements by using this pointer arithmetic. So directly we are accessing the memory location here. So that is the problem with the pointer arithmetic. So due to this pointer arithmetic, several security problems will occur. Several security problems will be occur. So that's why in the Java, they removed this pointers concept. Java does not support the pointers. Okay, this pointer arithmetic is very dangerous. This is security problem oriented concept. And another concept is what? Global variables. See, global variables, it supports to global variables. So global variable means what? Outside of all classes and functions. So here this is class A. Outside of all classes, like that another class is there, class B. Outside of all classes, I'm declaring a variable here. This variable is called int x. This x variable is called global variable. This is called global variable. Okay, so this global variable can be accessed within the program, and it can be accessed by other programs also. So other programs can also access this global variable. So with this, security problems will occur. So that's why in the Java they removed this global variables concept. So the C++ supports to the global variables concept. There is a drawback. C++ supports to the pointers. So due to the pointers, security problems will occur due to pointer arithmetic. Due to the global variables, other programs can access the data. Automatically, security problems will occur. So next one is what? Friend functions and friend clauses. See, friend functions and friend clauses. So these concepts are also security problem oriented concepts. Okay. See, Python has global variables, but that is different story. Okay, their security is there. Their security is there. Okay, after compilation, that is generating what? Bytecode there. After compilation, there that is generating bytecode. So that bytecode cannot be understood by anyone. Okay, so only Python virtual machine can understand. Here there is no intermediate code there. Code is there for the C++. For the C++, after compilation, directly that is generating what? Exe file. Okay, so their bytecode is secured. Okay, so their global variable with global variables concept, okay, no problem will occur in the Python. Okay, so they handled that. That is implicitly they handled that one. Okay, whereas here in the C++, it supports the global variables, means other programs can access here. Okay, so due to this, some security problems will occur. Okay, yes. Then next, friend functions. It's friend functions and friend clauses. The C++ supports to the friend functions and friend clauses. So I already told the C++ provides security, basic security for the data. So that in the advantages we discussed. In the advantages we discussed that uh, the C++ provides basic security. C++ provides basic security for the data. So to provide security, we are using which concept? Classes concept. In the class, we are defining members as private. So in the class, we are defining members as private. So means those members are not accessible outside of the class. So class, okay, in the class, I'm defining some private members here. So private int x. Now this x is the private variable. It can be accessed within the class only. It cannot be accessed outside of the class. It can be accessed within the class only. It cannot be accessed outside of the class. So so automatically it is providing basic security for this x variable. But these private members can be accessed by friend functions. So if any friend function is there, we define that as friend. We define a function as friend to this class. Okay, or we define a class as friend to this class A. Okay, so if any friend function or friend class is there for the class, that friend function can access this private variable x. This friend class can access that private variable x. So here private variable we are accessing outside of the class means automatically it is against to the object oriented programming rule. Security problems will occur. Private means what? Okay, member should not be accessed outside of the class. But here friend function can access private member. Friend class can access private member. So automatically due to these concepts, security problems will occur. Private members can be accessed outside of the class by the friend functions and friend classes. So security problems will occur due to these two topics. So that's why they removed this one. They removed these two concepts, friend functions and friend classes. These two concepts they removed in the Java. They removed in the Java, but see the C++ supports these two concepts. There is a drawback. And in the C++, we can develop standalone applications only. So standalone applications means, okay, standalone applications means the application developed to run in one computer. The application developed to the application developed to run in one computer. The application developed to run in one computer is called standalone application. See, for example, I want to watch the movies. To watch the movies, I'm installing VLC media player. I'm installing VLC media player to watch the movies. For example, I installed this VLC media player. I installed this VLC media player in your system, and I want to watch the movies in my system. Is it possible? No, it is not possible. If I want to watch the movies, I must install VLC media player in my system. Okay, if I install this VLC media player in your computer and I'm trying to watch movies in my system, okay, can I do like that? No. If I want to watch the movies, I must install this VLC media player software in my system. If I want to read the PDF files, I must install Acrobat Reader in my system. If I want to create the Word document, I must install MS Office in my system. So all these are examples for standalone applications only. Okay, every user is installing Acrobat Reader. Okay, every user is installing VLC media player. Means this VLC media player is developed to run in one computer only. If you want to use, you must install in the computer. Okay, can we develop the websites by using C++? No, we cannot develop the websites by using C++. We cannot develop the websites. So web application means what? That will be installed in remote system, in the server that will be installed. So software installed in the server, but from the client by using the browser, we are accessing that website. Means that is installed somewhere, I am using from somewhere. Okay, whereas this VLC media player, Acrobat Reader, MS Office, Photoshop, if you want to use them, we must install in our computer, then only we can use. Okay, so such type of applications are called standalone applications. So standalone applications means the application that is intended to run in one machine only. If we want to use, we must install in our machine. If we don't want to use, we have no need to install. So such type of applications are called standalone. The name itself indicates standalone applications. So in C++, we can develop standalone applications only. We cannot develop web applications. Okay, so these are the drawbacks of the C++. Okay, so now you know what are the advantages and what are the drawbacks. Okay, some points may be understood by you, some points may not be understood by you. No problem. In the entire course, we will discuss all these things. In the entire course, again, we will discuss all these things. Just to get an idea, I explained what are the advantages and what are the disadvantages of the C++. Okay, now I want to talk about what is the structure of C++ program. Okay, now today I want to explain one simple program, one basic program in the C++. So before that, we have to know what is the structure of C++ program. Okay, so what is the structure of C++ program? See here, structure of C++ program. I already told this C++ is the object oriented programming language. The C++ is the object oriented programming language, and this C++ is the extension of C language. It is the extension of C language. Okay, so all the C programs, almost all the C programs, so 99% of C programs we can also run in C++. So all the C programs we can run in C++ means we can run C++ program in procedure oriented style. Okay, we can write C++ program in two ways. We can write C++ program in two styles. Okay, what are those two styles? First one is we can write C++ program in procedure oriented style. Procedure oriented style means we write in the form of functions. We write the program in the form of functions. And another style is object oriented style. Object oriented style. We can write C++ program in the form of object oriented style means we can write in the form of classes and objects. Okay, so we can write C++ program in two styles. One is procedure oriented style and another one is object oriented style. Two styles are there. One is procedure oriented style, another one is what? Object oriented style. Okay, so see here, uh, the C++ is the extension of C language. So you can say C++ is the superset of C language because almost all the C programs we can run in the C++. So C++ is the superset of C language. The C++ program we can write in two styles. One is in the form of functions we can write, in the form of classes and objects also we can write. Okay, now see what is the structure of C++ program. So just now I told we can write in the form of classes. So to define the class, which keyword we have to use? Class. Okay, just try to understand. Okay, so in further classes, so when we write the programs, when we develop the programs, you can understand clearly. Okay, you can get more clarity about this structure of C++ program. So when we enter into the chapter classes and objects chapter. Okay, so but I will give now, I am giving complete structure of the C++ program. Listen, try to understand. Class, then what we give here? We give class name. Okay, this is the starting point of class, this is the ending point of class. So in the class, what we define? Properties and methods. In the class, we define properties and methods. So properties means just like variables in the C language. Okay, methods means functions in the C language. So we are placing variables and functions in the class. So we are calling those variables in the class are called properties. The functions in the class are called methods. So like this, you can define any number of classes. You can define any number of classes. So this C++ program we can write in the form of object oriented style. Okay, so finally what we write here? Why? Sorry. Okay, here we define the main function. We write main function outside of the class. Okay, sometimes if you want to use command line arguments concept, we can pass the arguments also. First argument type is int type. First argument type is int type. Okay, and the second argument type is a character array. Character pointer. Okay, so these are the variables. You can give any names. These are the identifiers. You can give any names. Okay, so argc means argument count. Okay, argument value, like that. Okay, so writing these arguments is optional. Writing these arguments is optional. Writing these arguments is optional. If required, then only we write. If you want to use command line arguments concept, then we use it. Okay, so here for the main, return type is int. For the main, return type is int. Okay, then here we write the return statement. Here we write the return statement. So we return zero value here. Mostly we return zero value. So here we write some code. So this is the structure of C++ program. To say more clearly, here we write preprocessor directives like hash include iostream, hash include cmath. Such type of directives are called, such type of directive statements are called preprocessor directives. Preprocessor directives we write. If you want to declare any global variables, if you want to declare any variables, you can declare global variables here. Okay, see, this is global variable and this is another global variable. Sorry, these are the global variables. Then we are writing what? Preprocessor directives. We are writing global variables, then we are writing preprocessor directives. Okay, then we are writing classes. You can define any number of classes like this. Okay, finally we must write this main. So if you want to define any functions here, you can define. To define the function, generally the syntax is return type. Okay, you may not understand, but see, I'm giving complete structure of the C++ program. You may not understand. So when classes are going on, you can understand all these concepts. So we give function name here. Here, if you want to give any arguments list, we can give arguments list here. Okay, this is a starting point of function. This is the ending point of function. In the function, we write some code. So like this, you can define any number of functions. Okay, or sometimes we define namespaces. To define the namespaces, what we write? Namespace. Then we give the namespace name here. namespace name. Okay, starting point of namespace, ending point of namespace. In the namespace, what we define? We define variables. We define. We can define classes. We can define functions, etc. So namespace. In the namespace, we define variables, classes, and functions. So sometimes we can define namespaces also. So a C++ program is a collection of classes, functions, namespaces. So main is also a function. Okay, so this is the actual structure of a C++ program. So what we are writing here, global variables, then preprocessor directives, then we are defining the class name. In the class, we are defining properties and methods. Like this, we can define any number of classes. Here we are defining the function. To define the function, syntax is we write return type, then function name. If required, we take arguments. Okay, so in the function, we are writing some code, some statements we are writing. So like that, we can define the namespaces. In the namespace, we can define variables, classes, and functions. Okay, so this defining this main function is mandatory. Remaining all are optional. Remaining all are optional. If required, we use. Remaining all are optional. So in the starting clauses, in the basic programs, just we write preprocessor directives and this main only. These two only. So later, when functions concept, when I explain functions concept, we write the functions. When I explain classes and objects chapter, there we define the classes. When I explain the namespaces, there we define the namespaces. But in the starting programs, just what we write, only preprocessor directives and this main function. So remaining all are optional. If required, we write. Okay, so with this structure, we can understand that we can write C++ program in the form of functions or in the form of classes. So we can follow C style, procedure oriented style. We can follow C++ style, object oriented style. So this is the structure of C++ program. So in this, you have to understand about this one. This is what this is main. So what is main? Now see here, observe carefully. I want to talk about main function. So what is main function? See, just how I told here, what is this int? Int is the return type. Actually, what is main? This main function is main function is an entry point of the program. It is an entry point of the program. Each and every program execution starts from the main function only. Each and every program execution starts from the main function only. So this is the starting point of the program. In the program, we can define many functions. In the programs, we can define many classes. Okay, from where program execution has to be started, that we have to tell to the compiler. Where program execution has to be started. So because many functions are there. Among these many functions, where the program execution has to be started, that we have to tell to the compiler. So that function is what? Main. So what is this main? This main is the entry point of the program. So each and every program execution in most of the programming languages, this main is the entry point of the program. That may be C or C++ or Java or C sharp. In these languages, C, C++, Java, C sharp. In these languages, main is the entry point of the program. So here C++, in the C++, main is the entry point of the program. So each and every program execution starts from main. Each and every program execution starts from main only. So what is main? This main is a function. What is this one? This is the entry point of the program. So program execution will be started from the main. So in the main, we are defining our code. Okay, this main can return integer value. It cannot return any other type value. It can return integer value only. So return type is what? Int. It can return integer value only. It can return integer value only. So always return type is what? Int here. Always return type is int. But in C++, default return type is default return type is int. So even if you don't write int here, implicitly that take int only. Even if you don't write return 0, implicitly that takes return 0 only. Okay, because default return type for the C++ language is int. Even if you write or you not, even if you don't write, the text int only. But the for better programming, for best practice, we write int here, and here we write return statement. So write return 0 here. So 0 indicates that our program is successful. Okay, non-zero indicates that our program is unsuccessful. So that returns this value to the operating system. Okay, so in C++, default return type is what? Int. So even if you don't write int, even if you don't write return 0, no problem. Implicitly that takes return type as int only. Implicitly that takes this return statement. Okay, but for best programming practice, write return type as int and last statement as return 0. And this main can take two arguments. This main can take two arguments. Main can take two arguments. Those are first argument type is first argument type. First argument type is int. First argument type is int. So we pass number of arguments. How many values you want? Argument count. So how many values you want? So that value we pass here. In case of command line arguments only, we use that one. So using this is optional. So what is second argument here? Second argument type is that is string array. Second argument type is string array. That is a string array. So string array can hold some set of string elements. So it can hold some set of string elements. Here this is string array that can hold some set of elements. Okay, so here we are passing number of elements, and here we are passing those elements, those values, argument values. So writing this one is optional. So to indicate optional, I am using these braces here. Okay, so to indicate any, generally I use this less than greater than symbol. Less than greater than symbol means any. You can give any function name. You can write any return type. You can give any namespace name. Generally in the syntaxes we use these symbols. You can give any class name. Less than greater than means you can give any. Less than greater than means any. Okay, so to indicate optional, we use the symbols. This one. Braces. Braces we use. Okay, so this is the syntax of the main. So what is main? Main is the entry point of the program. Each and every program execution starts from main only. Okay, it can return integer value. Even if we write int or not, by default it takes int only. In the C++, default return type is int. This main can take two arguments. First argument is integer type. Second argument is string array type. So this is about main. So in the main we write some statements. Okay, so in the main we create the objects. With the help of objects we can invoke the members. From the main only we call the functions, because main is the entry point of the program. To perform any task we call from main only, because this main is the entry point. If you want to call any function, we call from main only. If you want to create any object, we create in the main only. Okay, because at runtime that calls this main function, that main function code gets executed. That main function is calling other functions or calling other class members. That is the concept here. So what is main? So just main means that is the entry point of the program. Each and every program execution starts from main. Just simply what we write here, int main. No need to write command line arguments. Starting point of main, ending point of main. This curly braces indicates starting point of main function. This closing curly braces indicates ending point of main function. Here we can write code as per our requirement. Last statement is what? Return 0. Even if you don't write this int, no problem at all. Even if you don't write this return 0, no problem at all. Directly you can write main and code. But for better programming practice, write int here and write return statement here. Write return statement. Okay, so in the starting classes I define only one function, that is main function. Okay, later in the functions chapter we add some functions. In the classes chapter we add some classes, like that. Okay, so now you know what is the structure of C++ program and what is main function. Now you know. Now the question is, where we have to write this program? Where we have to write this program? See, to work with the C++, to work with the C++, what we require? To work with the C++, we require two things. What are those? First one is we require C++ compiler, and another one is text editor. Text editor is required. To write C++ program, two things are required. Two things are required to write C++ program. So if you want to write C++ program, how many things are required? Two things are required. What are those? One is C++ compiler, and another one is what? Text editor. So install C++ compiler in your computer and one text editor. So text editors, or some text editors come along with the operating system like Notepad, WordPad. Okay, this comes along with the operating systems, or you can use Edit Plus, or you can use Notepad plus plus, etc. All these are what? Text editors. Okay, or in the MS Word also you can write. MS Word is the text editor. So this text editor is required. Okay, next C++ compiler is required. So several companies compilers are there. Several companies C++ compilers are there. Like what are those companies? The most famous C++ compiler is uh, MinGW compiler. MinGW compiler. MinGW compiler. So here MinGW means minimized. G stands for GNU. G stands for what? So min stands for minimized. Minimized. G stands for GNU. There is a company name GNU. Pronounce it as GNU for Windows. For Windows. So this compiler is required. Okay. So I use this compiler. Okay. So like that, several compilers are there. See, Clang, Clang compiler is there. Clang. So generally we use it for Linux or Unix. For Linux or Unix, mostly we use Clang compiler. Okay, or like that, Intel company's C++ compiler is there. Intel company's C++ compiler. So different companies C++ compilers are there. So Intel C++ compiler. Oracle company developed their own C++ compiler. So Oracle C++ compiler. Okay, so like this, several companies C++ compilers are available. So most famous one is MinGW. Okay, I use this one. I use this MinGW. So you can use remaining compilers also. Okay, so to write C++ program, what are required? One C++ compiler, MinGW, and one text editor. Okay, so mostly I use Edit Plus. You can write in the Notepad also. Okay, now I want to write one C++ program, very basic program I want to write. Okay, so tomorrow I will discuss about it. Okay, just now what I do is I write one program, I compile and run. So about this program I will explain tomorrow. Okay, see, listen. Okay, I will take class for more 10 minutes. See, I want to write the program. So just now we discussed about main. First, what we write? Int main, starting point of main, ending point of main. In this, what we write? Return 0. If we write this code, what will happen? Now see, I am opening Notepad now. In the Notepad, so press Windows R key. The displays dialog box. In the type Notepad, the displays Notepad to us. Here I am writing the program, that is int main, starting point of main, ending point of main, and I'm writing return 0. Okay, I'm saving this program. Go to file menu, select save option. Okay, I am saving this program in the F drive. In the F drive for our class, I am creating a new folder here. I am giving this new folder name as CPP6 batch. CPP6. Remember this folder name. So CPP6. In the CPP6 folder, I am storing this program with the name hello.cpp. Hello.cpp. So, okay. So hello.cpp. Hello.cpp. Okay. Yes. Already saved. Yes, this is the program. Just now we have written this C++ program. So this C++ program is successfully saved. C++ program successfully saved. Now I want to compile this one. This program is in high level language. Computer cannot understand this one. Okay, I want to compile this one. So I want to convert this high level code to the low level code. So for that, we have to run the, we have to compile this program. So to compile the program, I'm opening command prompt, ms-dos command prompt. To open the command prompt, press Windows R, type the command cmd. Here, where our program, where we stored our program in the F drive. Where we stored our program in the F drive. What is our folder name? CPP6. So this is our program. Just now we created 29.7. Just now we created. Okay, I want to go to that location. So to go to F drive, write F colon. Okay, then CD. What is our folder name? CPP6. Now we are in our folder. So to compile the program, we have to use G++ command. So here G stands for, that is the company name, GNU. Plus plus. Plus plus means in the C++ he has taken plus plus. So G++ means GNU C++. That is the meaning. So G++ means GNU C++. G++ means GNU C++. So they made this as a short G++. Okay, so G++ is the command which is used to compile the program. What is our program name? hello.cpp right here. So now what we want to create now? Output file. So to create output file, we have to write one command. What is that one? -o. Now I want to generate exe file. So to generate the exe file, what we write? hello.exe. Okay, now I'm pressing enter key. Observe here, program successfully compiled. No errors are there. Okay, so what is happening here? That is converting this source code to the machine code. So now observe, just now we opened our folder, only one file was there, now two files are there. Just now this is created at 8. Now this file is created. This is called exe file. Observe, right click, properties, observe here, this is creating what? Exe file. This exe file has machine code now. Now I want to run this one. So to run this, simply write that exe file name on command prompt. So here what we write, that exe file name is what? Hello. So write hello without extension. Just simply, now what is it displaying? It is displaying nothing. Means we didn't write any code here. So int main return 0 means that is not doing anything. Okay. So this is valid code. Okay. Now I want to print hello on output screen. I want to print hello on output screen. So to print hello on output screen in C language, what we write? We use one function, printf function. In the double quotes, what we write? Hello. So in the double quotes, we are writing the string. In C or C++, each statement ends with a semicolon. So that's why we are writing semicolon here. So this is C language code. Okay, but we want to print hello in C++. So in C++, to print the data, we have to use one object, that is what? Cout object. In C language, we use printf. There printf is the function. Here we use cout. The cout is the object. Cout is the object of OStream clause. This is the object of OStream clause. Then we write insertion operator. What is the meaning of this? I will explain clearly in tomorrow's class. In tomorrow's class, I will explain what is cout, what is insertion operator very clearly. I discuss about this one. So that takes some time. Okay, so just see what is the program. Okay, I'm typing hello here. So this hello we want to print. So we are writing in the double quotes because that is a string set of characters are there. H is the character, E is the character, L, L, O, all are characters are there. Set of characters is called string. String must be enclosed in the double quotes in the C language. So I'm enclosing in the double quotes. This string we want to print on output state. Okay. Now, yes. Yes. So within 5 minutes, I will finish the class. Please listen. I'm saving this program and I'm compiling this program now. So to compile this, what we write? G++, source code file name, -o, exe file name. Press enter key. Now this will give error. Observe here. What is that error? Observe. That is giving error. Cout was. What is the error? Cout was not declared in this scope. Cout was not declared in this scope. So that is unable to access this cout. That is not finding cout. Where is cout? That is not finding this one. So that is the error here. So that is not finding cout. So where they defined this cout? The cout defined in one namespace, that is what? std namespace. In the std namespace, they defined cout object. So that's why if we want to use cout, we must write std. Std stands for standard. Std stands for standard. then write scope resolution operator, std, then write scope resolution operator. This is called scope resolution operator. For the scope resolution operator, symbol is colon colon. If you want to access the global values, we use this one. So in the std namespace, one global variable is there, that is cout. I want to access this, that one. So write std scope resolution operator cout. Okay. So the cout, they defined in which namespace? Std namespace. So we must write, when we use cout, we must write std scope resolution operator cout. Now save this one. Save this one. I'm saving this one by pressing Control F, Control S, Control S, or go to File menu, select Save option. Successfully saved. Once again, I'm compiling here. I'm compiling. So what it is displaying? Observe here. Okay. So what it is displaying? That is displaying some error. Okay. So this std cout is defined in IO stream. This std scope resolution operator cout is defined in IO stream. Okay. So please check. Okay, did you forget writing this hash include IO stream? That is reminding to us, that is giving this error. Okay, what is that error? This std scope resolution operator cout is defined in which header file? IO stream header file. That compiler is telling clearly to us, this cout defined in std, this std namespace defined in IO stream. So this std scope resolution operator cout is defined in the header IO stream. Compiler is telling that one. So that's why here we must write hash include IO stream, because this std namespace defined in the IO stream. So we are telling the path of the std here. So this is the program to print hello. So tomorrow I will explain very clearly about what is this hash include IO stream, okay, and what is this std, what is this cout, what is this insertion operator. This is called insertion operator or put to operator. Okay, so I will explain all these things in tomorrow's session. Okay, so now just I'm compiling this program. Finally, last time I'm compiling this program. So program will be successfully program will get executed successfully. Observe here. So successfully compiled. I want to run this program. I'm typing hello, that is giving output as hello here. So to print hello on output screen, this is the program. This is the program where we have written this program in the notepad. Okay, so to compile the program, one C++ compiler is required. So to write C++ program, one compiler is required and another one is text editor is required. Generally, in with the along with operating systems, these text editors will come like Notepad, WordPad. Okay, if you want to use text editors like Edit Plus, this is the Edit Plus. Okay, in the file menu, new, select C or C++ file like this. So you can use such type of text editors like Edit Plus, Notepad++. Okay, or you can use the IDEs like Code Blocks, Developer C++, or Turbo C++, etc. Okay, and you can use Microsoft Visual C++. Okay, all those things I will explain in the further classes. Okay, so in the initial classes, just in the text editor, in the Edit Plus, I write the program and I compile on command prompt. Okay, so if you want to install the C++ compiler, just go to Google Drive. In the Google Drive, type mingw compiler. Just simply type mingw compiler. mingw compiler. Observe here. Okay, see here one website is there, sourceforge.net. Sourceforge.net. So go to this website. There is third one. So you can install from first website also, but it's better to use third one. Third one has several editors also. Okay, even to install Code Blocks, to install Developer C++. So all those things are available in the sourceforge.net. So go to the sourceforge.net. Here download option is there. So if you click on download, that software will be downloaded. Okay, so after downloading, see, so that will be downloaded. So this is the this setup file you will get. After downloading the software, just double click on this setup file, then click on install. Okay, then there is asking the path. This is the default path, then click on continue. Okay, so this is already installed, so that's why there is asking reinstall. You can try it, you can try it. Okay, so whenever you are installing, that will display this message to you, that will display this window to you. You will get this window. If you want to get G++ compiler, click on basic setup. See here mngw, so mingw G++ is there. Just simply select this one. Okay, then if you click on close button, sorry, now that is not displaying, so I am selecting another one. For example, I want Fortran language compiler, so select this one, marks for installation. So hence you can select the compiler. After that, when you are closing, that is asking review changes, discard changes, cancel request. Just click on review changes, that compiler will be installed. Okay, so when you are installing the mingw compiler, that will display this menu to you. In that, which one you have to select? This mingw G++ you have to select. Just like click on that one, that will display one menu, mark for installation. Simply you can do like this. Okay, so when you click on close button, that will display this dialog box to you. Click on review changes, that will be installed. Okay, so after that we have to set the path. How to set the path? See here. So this will be installed in the C drive like this, mingw folder. In the mingw folder, there is one another folder, bin folder is there. Go to bin folder. In that, G++ command is available. G++ command is available. Okay, so if you want to run C++ program, you must store that C++ program in the bin. But I don't want to store the C++ programs in the bin. I want to store C++ programs in my own folder. So if you want to store our C++ programs in our own folder, if you want to run anywhere, we have to set the path for this command. So we have to use this command anywhere. So to set the path, right click on G++, properties, then select the path here, select the path. I'm explaining how to set the path here. Select the path. Okay, then right click on this PC, then select properties. In this, select advanced system settings. In this, environment variables option is there. Okay, in the below system variables are there. There, select path option. Now we want to set the path. Select edit option. Now here, okay, take new one. In that, paste that path. I set that path already. Okay, so once again I'm repeating. After installing mingw compiler, we have to set the path. To set the path, steps are: first go to that G++ command location. The G++ command will be in the C drive in mingw. In the bin folder, G++ command will be there. Then right click, properties, copy this path, copy this path, and where we have to paste it, right click on this PC, select properties. In this, select advanced system settings, then select environment variables, then select path. Here select edit option. We want to edit the path. Okay, here if you want to add a new one, new, then paste here. After that, click on OK. Already there, so I'm clicking on cancel. So hence we can set the path. So if you want to check whether path is okay or not, if you want to check whether path is okay or not, when you type G++, okay, sorry, here that is giving error. Okay, but generally that gives some lines. Okay, so in my system, path is already okay. Path is already okay. So you can try this one. Okay, now I'm stopping the session. Okay, yes, if you have any doubts, please ask me. Yes, any doubts? Yes, Shubham. Only 99% of C code. Some code we cannot write. Some code we cannot write. Okay, that somewhere I will give examples. Somewhere I will give examples. Not all programs we can run. Some programs we cannot run. Okay, I will give examples in the further classes. Okay, Shubham, I will cover. Don't bother. I will cover. I will stress this point. Some other class, I will stress this point. Some code of C language we cannot run in the C++. Mubarak. So just now I told about G MinGW software. What is this MinGW? This MinGW is the set of compilers. This MinGW is providing the set of compilers. So just now we have seen the list of compilers. See this MinGW installer. Okay, on basic setup. See that is this G++ compiler, Fortran compiler, ADA compiler. If you want to develop ADA programs, ADA is one programming language. If you want to develop ADA programs, we use ADA compiler. If you want to develop develop Fortran programs, we use Fortran compiler. If you want to develop C++, use G++, like that. Okay, these are the compilers. Yes, I will cover in the command line arguments. I will cover in the command line arguments with two example programs, with 2 or 3 examples programs. I will cover. Shubham, definitely I will cover all these topics. See, Mubarak, what compiler contains? Compiler means what? Compiler is the software. Compiler has set of instructions that is capable to translate high level instructions to the low level instructions. Okay, our language is high level language. Computer language is what? Low level language. So to convert this high level language code to the low level language, we are using what? Compiler. So what is compiler? Compiler is the software. Compiler is the system software. Compiler has some instructions though that is capable of converting high level code to the low level code. Clear, Mubarak? No, scope resolution operator, I will explain. I will explain about scope resolution operator. So 4 purposes are there for the scope resolution operator. In the operators class, I will explain about scope resolution operator. Okay, Shubham? See, if you see the machine code, you cannot understand it. Just now we have seen exe file. We cannot see the machine code. We cannot see the machine code. If you open the exe file, that will display output to us only. We cannot see the machine code. Notepad plus plus. Notepad plus plus. See, I am using edit plus plus. Open it. Go to file menu. Select a new option. Then select C or C++ program. If you want to write Java program, select Java. Okay. If you want to write Perl program, write Perl. Select Perl. Okay. Now I want to write C++ program. So go to file menu, select new, then select C++. Observe here that is displaying arguments to us. What is the return type? Int. Okay. What is the last statement here? Return 0. Okay. In the C language also same. This is what preprocessor directive. We have no need to take these arguments. So just simply write the program here. Okay. What I'm writing hash include IO stream. Hash include IO stream. Okay. I want to print on output screen. So write std scope resolution operator C out hi. Okay. This program I am saving in the F drive. Our folder name is what? CPP6. Okay. So in this location, so go to file menu, select the save option. Then in the F drive, our folder name is CPP6. So here I'm giving name as hi.cpp. Hi.cpp. So program successfully saved. Now compile here. So to compile, which command we have to use? G++ hi.cpp hyphen o hi.exe. Press enter key. Successfully compiled. Type hi. That is displaying hi here. Observe. So hence we can write the program in the edit plus. Okay. Okay, any doubts? Shall I stop the session? Yes, Kapil, any doubts? Okay. Yes, yes. Shubham, from tomorrow onwards, I will start class at 6:15 only. Okay. So from tomorrow onwards, I will start class at 6:15 only. Is it okay? Kapil and Mubarak. From tomorrow onwards, I will take class at 6:15. Okay. Okay. Thanks to all. Meet you tomorrow.